It's just the biggest E. That's the one. It's not the biggest E I've ever seen, though. Far from it. Or E's. Anyway, who's in the comments? People are here. Diether, yeah, you know, E right back at you. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. Also saying how you're all doing. They're starting to arrive now, my friend. Let me know who you are and where you are in the comments. Good people. If you want to support our work, in the meantime, though, go P to the A to the T, reon.com/Cow Daily. That's patreon.com/Cow Daily for all of your supporting independent media, good faith, belters. Also, you can do that via one-off donation via the PayPal link in description of this podcast. Inside. Who else has arrived? Dave Slaz in the house. Good to see you. Also in the Hairy Moose, Zoe Jarrett. Nice to see you. Duncan Paler. It's been a while. You're all good. Sound? Aye. Nice one. Ashley saying, amazing. I'm not busy when you go live. Nice one, Ashley. Nice to see you. Always a pleasure, my friend. And always good. It's good actually in the sense that we had to be a bit sporadic recently with the times that will come on for reasons already given. But it's nice to like see some people who don't normally get to make the early morning lives as well. So nice one, Ashley. Mazzy in the house. Good morning from Stoke. Nice to see you, Stoke crew. B62 Boom One, Wales finest. Stephen Jackson. Nice to see you. Yvonne Gare, Queen of the Tune. Back in the room. Nice to see you, pal. Oh, so he's saying something else. What are you saying? E moved over to here. Nice. Right, what the crack is there's a weaving spell we've got today. I haven't worked out a title for it yet, but we'll do afterwards because it's all the same thing. But before we do, Shazbot just crept in. Morning, hope everyone's holding amongst the madness. We are, mate. And all the more for seeing you here. Was Morris as well, sneaking in. Aye up, Barry, my friend. Right, so we're weaving a spell this episode, right? Because it's about what is this episode about? I'll come up with a snappy title afterwards, but essentially it's about how the establishment are just forming like Voltron and continuing this targeting of anybody who calls for any kind of peace. And also there'll be some other stuff at the end and a little bit of hope. We've brought a bit of that back. I think it's probably needed, aye. So where we're going to start? We're going to start with Andy MacDonald MP. And he has been completely shafted. What's happened? Right. We'll start with his explanation. So this is a statement on the news that had been placed under precautionary suspension by the Labour Party. But why? So what Andy's saying is, I'm saddened to have received the news from the opposition chief whip that I've been placed under precautionary suspension for a period of 3 months, which is reviewable pending an investigation by the Labour Party. I look forward to engaging and fully cooperating with the inquiry, which is probably, this is me saying it, headed up by that dickhead who looks like a what's it. Throughout the past 2 days, there have been a number of misrepresentations of my words. This is Andy, by the way, in the media. There's been plenty of mine, this is me, over the years, but we'll not talk about that. Anyway, further. This is Andy. These have furthered baseless and extremely harmful accusations against me, which I feel obliged to respond to now in order to avoid any further errors in the press. In my speech on Saturday, I said the following. Until all people, Israelis and Palestinians between the river and the sea can live in peaceful liberty, these words should not be construed in any other way than they were intended, namely as a heartfelt plea for an end to the killings in Israel, Gaza, and the occupied West Bank, and for all peoples in the region to live in freedom without the threat of violence. I'll be happy to explain these views to the investigation when it convenes. Blah, blah, blah. Andy, you're not going to get a fair hearing, mate. Seriously, that what's it, lad? He's not for fair hearings. Anyway, this is James Schneider explaining what the river to the sea, Palestine will be free actually means, and that it isn't anti-Semitic. What has the boy Schneider got to say? Here he is.
Let me push back on the idea that to say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free is in any way frightening or anti-Semitic, because it is not. Palestinians between the River Jordan and the Mediterranean Sea are dispossessed and denied. To say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free is a call for justice for all people living there. And it does not mean a reversal of the current situation, where instead of the Palestinians being occupied, being living under apartheid, and now being bombed and having war crimes committed against them, it will be Israelis. It does not mean that. It means all people living together, as Andy McDonald said, in peaceful liberty.
What do you think the impact of his removing the whip from Andy McDonald will be then, James Schneider?
I think he looks ludicrous, because it is plainly ludicrous. You endorse war crimes and you're fine in his Labour Party.
So let's just do endorsing war crimes is a very, very, very big accusation.
I'm referring to his LBC interview and also to Emily Thornberry's interview sitting in this very studio, probably in this very chair.
I think, Keir Starmer has clarified those remarks and does not support
he has. Has he at any point condemned the war crimes that we are seeing? No, he has not. And it took days before they clarified that he hadn't heard the question. But they sent Emily Thornberry out onto this very programme to repeat his lines. Let me push back on the...
Listen to, the utter apologia from the presenter there. Will Starmer's clarified his comments. He hasn't at all. He's tried to roll back when public opinion shifted by saying, anyway, let's just hear from him today at the Chatham House. Hold on, I'll pull it up. He did a speech at Chatham House, and here he is again explaining why calling for a ceasefire is wrong. So, hold on a minute. Aren't they telling lies? Yes, they are.
At this stage, I do not believe that it is the correct position.
Oh, fuck off. Right, I'm going to have to just cut in there and periodically, 2 seconds. Hold on a minute. Oh dear, it doesn't appear to be there. Right, it's there now. We're going to run that again because a little bit of a tech problem. Do excuse me. And I will cut in at the same point once again when it comes. Here he is talking shite.
At this stage, I do not believe that it is the correct position now for two reasons. One, because a ceasefire always freezes any conflict in the state where it currently lies. And as we speak, that would leave Hamas with the infrastructure and the capability to carry out the sort of attack we saw on October the 7th.
Right, we're going to stop it there, right? This false equivalency shit is unbelievable with this guy. So if you have a ceasefire, it pauses it where it is now. Do you know how many children have been killed and how many are still under the rubble waiting to be found? That's thousands. So how many more children have to die so Hamas can... It's so incoherent, right? Here's an analogy that I saw argued successfully the other day. When the IRA bombed the British mainland, right, did the RAF go and carpet bomb Belfast because some IRA members live there? No. So what is this guy on about? And you can see it on his face. Yeah, he knows he's soulless. Got to, surely. Anyway, more soullessness.
Attacks that are still ongoing. Hostages who should be released, still held. Hamas would be emboldened and start preparing for future violence immediately.
Fuck off.
And it is this context which explains my second reason, which is that our current calls for pauses in the fighting for clear and specific humanitarian purposes, and which must start immediately, is right in practice at this...
Right. He there did not come out with calls for humanitarian nothing until the backlash from the public and from the backlash within his own party. That didn't happen. This is a man who was trying to trip over his own feet because to get there, he's had to please some people. Let's be honest. So what you're seeing there is a human rights lawyer starting to and trying to argue that continuing to murder children is in some way the right thing to do to stop further murder. Oh no, it's that hierarchy of racism thing again, isn't it? The Ford report laid that out bare in your own party, didn't it? And it was one of the many reasons why you should never, ever, ever vote for the Labour Party. So what they've done is they've suspended somebody because of the rivers to the sea thing, haven't they? So on screen, at Philip Proudfoot, one of the founders of the Northern Independence Party, but also Middle East Studies professor, I believe, and I think he's currently in Beirut. Anyway, he shows a graphic on the screen, which is the Palestinian loss of land from the 1947 to the present day. He goes on, it is nauseating that people pretend the slogan from the river to the sea is a chant for removing all Jewish people from Israel, while at the same time, this is explicitly what Israel has literally been trying to do with Palestinians since 1946, as we can see on the screen. Isn't that funny and strange? People telling on themselves. Let's have a look at the comment. Jez is saying, nice to see you also, Jez. I watched the bloke go mental on that guy calling him anti-Semitic, which is unusual as he's Jewish. Yes, I saw that too. And I think that actually was a better thing that actually happened than it didn't, because it just shows how utterly fucked in the head like that mentality is. Absolutely deranged. Michael Dines in the house. He's saying, although I have zero sympathy for anybody still associated with the Labour Party, this just shows the fascist nature of the Labour Party. I mean, I don't know if we can like continue to like throw fascism around, but it's kind of like hard not to in some respects, given that like the sheer extent of the dead babies that we're seeing every day with these idiots trying to like do mental gymnastics. Stephen Jackson saying, I used to work at Chatham House. There will be people there well aware of the BS being spouted. If you want us to know more, please tell us in the strictest confidence. Yvonne is saying, I've heard that said that if Hamas was hiding in Israel, would the bombing be so crazy? Well, obviously not. Well, quite. Shazbot saying, wasn't it going around last year that Labour receiving big donation from Israel? Trevor Chin, that's a name to look up should you wish to. Bit of this weaving spell, right? This is something that in history has always been and proven to be dangerous. And this is when people calling for peace are demonized. And we've seen a lot of that like through the Russia-Ukraine war, actually. So it seems to have manufactured a lot of consent to go even further and start saying mad things like this. Here's Suella on screen. What's she got to say for herself? Let's find out. Hang on a minute. What's going on here?
We've seen now tens of thousands.
I'll just pull that back for you.
Well, first of all, let me explain what we've seen over the last few weekends. We've seen now tens of thousands of people take to the streets following the massacre of Jewish people, the single largest loss of Jewish life since the Holocaust, chanting for the erasure of Israel from the map. To my mind, there's only one way to describe those marches. They are hate marches. Now, secondly, the police
right,
and
I'm going to just stop that there.
The Crown Prosecution Service.
Hold on a minute. Hate marches. So apparently, calls for peace now are hate marches. This is the problem with like the down is up, left is right, whatever. I mean, that has as much like intellectual veracity as calling the Nazis socialists, which is a thing that Bannon and his ilk have tried to get people to do. But here we are. This isn't some absolute rando. This is the friggin' Home Secretary. Anyway, this absolute horseshit goes on.
Are operationally independent. So it's not for me to provide a running commentary on the specific legal decisions that they are making in real time on the ground. But what the police have made clear is that they are concerned that there's a large number of bad actors who are deliberately operating beneath the criminal threshold in a way which you or I, or the vast majority of British people, would consider to be utterly odious. Now, we keep our laws under review, and if there is a need to change the law, just as we did in relation to Just Stop Oil protests last year, I will not hesitate to act. I have made my views clear. These are hate marches, and the police must take a zero tolerance approach to anti-Semitism.
Right, here we go. So they're trying to make From the River to the Sea anti-Semitic. She's just referenced in what she said there that it's about like exterminating Jewish people or whatever, which is absolute fucking nonsense. And it's about time that we were brave and spoke up about this, because this is just so far beyond a joke. I think when we look at the ecosystem and the architecture of what happened around the 2017 and 2019 elections, I think now we can see things in a fresher light. Catch me drift? Hopefully you do. So what else we got here? So this is Starmer, and I want to keep impressing this upon you. This was when he stood for election as Labour leader. Number 4 from his pledges, he's broken all of them: promote peace and human rights, no more legal wars, introduce a Prevention and Military Intervention Act, and put human rights at the heart of foreign policy, review all UK arms sales, and make us a force for international peace and justice. He's done exactly the opposite, and as you've seen in that Chatham House speech there, what an absolute toolbox from hell. Like, trying to justify, can you ever justify the murder of children because it would stop Hamas doing? What are you talking about? You don't carpet bomb terrorism out of the way. Also, I'm not really sure this ground offensive is going to go very well, because fighting in tunnels with conventional armies doesn't work very well. I mean, you just have to look at how the United States got their arse handed to them in Vietnam and in Afghanistan, and the way that that's been remodeled as some kind of like non-victory defeat or whatever the hell they're trying. It was a defeat. They didn't achieve their aims, but unless their aims was, of course, to sell a lot of arms, which is ultimately what people are making money out of currently. So if you want to see an actual hate march, there's one on the screen. If you're listening via audio, go to youtube.com/cowdaily if you want to know what that is. Absolutely unreal, this mob. Also, as well, one of the worst people on the planet. That's Israeli ambassador to the UK. What's you called again? Sippy Hosofli, from LBC on the left, and this is Glasgow, actually, I think, who put this out. On the left, LBC, Palestinian River to the Sea chant as a call for ethnic cleansing. Israeli ambassador says after demonstrations, absolutely fucking unbelievable and ridiculous, but like obviously the baton being took on by Braverman. On the right, from the Telegraph, from I think this was 2020. World should recognise Israel's historic claim to land from river to sea, minister says. Speech by new Deputy Foreign Minister Sippy Hosofli beseeches diplomats to use historical justice arguments advanced by religious figures in making Israel's case abroad. Interesting times, isn't it? Almost like people aren't acting in good faith, you would say. How strange. Not unlike them to act in good faith. Stephen is saying, Suella Braverman is so utterly wrong, calling peaceful protests hate marches. She needs to be utterly rejected at the next election. Outrageous propaganda. I agree, but as we've seen, so does Keir Starmer. So vote Green, everybody. It's not a perfect choice, but as you've seen, I've spoke to Zach directly. He's a really good lad. Spoken with Nick from the Newcastle a lot. Really good. I know the South Tyneside a lot. Really good people. So let's give them a chance, because Party A or Party B of the murdering babies isn't the one, really, and it should go without saying for us all. Jez is saying, hold on a minute, my bloody computer screen is saying something completely different. The far right love to imagine stuff, then get angry about it, then the far right government act as if that's real. She's a blood mad ghoul. What a great phrase, a blood mad ghoul. Obviously not in practice for the people who are on the wrong end of her, but also a very funny statement. Right, what else we got? I'll just get rid of this, just do a bit of admin on here. Right, so Starmer was asked for once an actual question by what appears to be an actual journalist. I'm not sure though, because we haven't seen one of them for a long time, so I don't know what they look like. Anyway, listen to this, interesting.
I think what a lot of your members and MPs are hoping for is a clearer distinction on what you believe to be morally justifiable justifiable and not morally justifiable in terms of the actions that Israel is taking right now. So I'd like to give you two specific cases. One, the communications blackout for 36 hours that meant that innocent people in Gaza could not call the emergency services when they were the victims of shelling. And number two, telling people to move south of Wadi Gaza and then sending rockets south of Wadi Gaza to where people have evacuated. Are those two things morally justifiable? Not legal or illegal, but are they moral?
Well, Kieran, I'm not going to break the rule I've just set out for myself in terms of not immediately adjudicating on each and every issue. But look, on the comms blackout, I think everybody was concerned about the comms blackout, and concerns have been raised in relation to that, understandably.
Grow fucking spine. It's quite obvious. It's quite obvious that cutting off vital emergency services communications, or any communications whilst you're being bombed into the fucking Stone Age, is bad. People, as the journalist quite rightly pointed out there, couldn't ring for emergency services, which, let's be honest, were probably bombed to fuck anyway.
For reasons that everybody will understand. And equally, the moving of people. And that's why I said in my remarks that where people, Palestinians, feel that they have to flee, it is very important and made absolutely clear without any ambiguity that is with a view to returning because of the history that lies behind this. So, I think in the words I've just set out in the 15 minutes or so that I spoke for, it's clear where I'm coming from on this, as it is on humanitarian aid. We have been saying now for a long time in the 3 weeks or so that we've.
Right, that goes on for another 30 seconds, but we've had enough of that bumbling shit. You get the idea. He's absolutely hemmed into a corner here, isn't he, by his so-called allies. And he's just bumbling his way through what is clearly immoral. It's clear to anybody whatsoever that, like, what he's underpinning and co-signing, which is genocide, is immoral. And have you noticed he's doing that with a big, massive fuck-off poppy stuck to his lapel? What are we lest we forgetting here? A hell of a fucking lot by the looks of it. What an utter hypocrite made flesh. That man should just be ran out of, like, everywhere, to be fair. Like, he has no place being anywhere near Downing Street. And I swear to God, and I've said this many times, right? Don't stink up our social media with that, like, vote for Labour to get the Tories out nonsense. At this point, it's just not even funny anymore, and you're going to get utterly dealt with, like, because I've seen far too many dead babies to listen to that shit anymore. Don't stink up our life by saying you're even going to vote for them. If you're going to do it quietly and with shame. So anyway, speaking of shame, here's Peter Mandelson. By the way, please follow at Saul Staniforth. I've said it many times, does great work. By the looks of it, like, has probably 27,000 followers, right? That's like less than half of what I've got, which is a travesty, an absolute travesty. At Saul Staniforth on Twitter, doing great work every single day. And I swear to God, without this guy, I don't even know who this guy is, the world would be a shitter place, because just so laser focused on doing this kind of work. Anyway, this is Peter Mandelson dismissing those people calling for a ceasefire. You don't just do nothing and form a ring and hold hands and sing Kumbaya, says this guy. Over 3,200 Palestinian children killed so far, with many more thought to be lying dead under the rubble. But anyway, here's Peter Mandelson telling us we're not grown-ups.
There's huge humanitarian suffering going on, and of course you're going to react to it. But at the same time, you have to look at and judge these people in Hamas for what they are. They are cold-blooded murderers, and you don't just face that and do nothing and say, okay, well, let's all just sort of, form a ring and hold hands and sing Kumbaya. You have to face that.
Right, he can shut up for a minute, because I've got another clip of him in a moment, right? But they're making this false equivalence between the only options to carpet bomb and kill 3,200 children, which they don't mention, and neither does the journalist either. nor do they mention this. The fact that this guy, right, within the context of this Andy McDonald being suspended, this guy, Peter Mandelson, after Jeffrey Epstein was lifted for being a nonce, there's a picture on the screen. Here's the two of them hanging out together. This was after he's a convicted nonce. So looking into, right, how the last few years have been with anybody who shows any kind of like social conscience or whatever is immediately slandered. 2 bits. And you've seen it from Corbyn getting in downwards, right? And yet, this guy this morning, Mandelson, was on Good Morning Britain on the flagship breakfast show. Why is he even getting through the fucking door, man? And why is his opinion like where he's like patting us all on the head? Fuck off, mate. You all you lot are doing is co-signing genocide. Fucking funny that, like. Well, not funny, but you get me drift. Anyway, fuck that guy. I don't actually want to see the next clip of him. There's no need for this guy in anybody's life, least of all in apparently the party of Labour. Anyway, if you want to support independent, good faith media, please go to patreon.com/Cowdaily. That's Peter the 8 to the T, REON.com/Cowdaily. Also, link in the description for PayPal, where you can become a one-off supporter of our work via financial donation. And big up everybody who's done that in the last week. I see you and I appreciate it so much, man. Thank you so much. Not just financially, but also it's just like a nod that what we're trying to do here, which is tell the truth and evidence the truth, is respected. And I just really appreciate that, like a whole bloody lot, because it ain't easy doing this, let me tell you. But hope, is there some? Yes. It's in Spanish though, so if you're not on the video, you're gonna have a problem unless you speak Spanish. This is Ion Balara, who to me is the world leader in humanitarian, I don't know, high-ranking politicians. She's like in the Spanish government. She came through the Podemos movement and was part of that coalition with the Spanish Labour Party, effectively the PSOE, and she's the shit, quite frankly. I mean, she is saying some amazing stuff, which, to be honest, should be normal, but it seems amazing because we have unconscionable rotters like Keir Starmer saying, well, you've just seen what he's been saying. But here's some hope.
Hoy estamos aquí acompañando a toda la gente decente de nuestro país y también a toda esa gente en toda Europa que quiere pedir y exigir que termine de una vez por todas este genocidio planificado, esta limpieza étnica al pueblo de Palestina que está llevando adelante el Estado de Israel. Pensamos que en este momento los líderes europeos, incluido el nuestro, no está a la altura de la gravedad de las circunstancias. No queremos ser cómplices de este genocidio planificado y pensamos que Europa tiene que actuar con urgencia. Creo que Europa va a pagar muy cara esta hipocresía. La hipocresía de ir pregonando los derechos humanos en todo el mundo y después, cuando hay que dar la cara, cuando hay que estar a la altura, no hacer absolutamente nada. La ciudadanía está estupefacta, viendo cómo se supeditan a los intereses de Estados Unidos y del Estado de Israel todo el posicionamiento de la Unión Europea. Podemos hacer algo y podemos hacerlo hoy mismo. Suspender las relaciones diplomáticas con Israel, aplicar sanciones económicas ejemplares contra Netanyahu y toda la cúpula política, también llevar a cabo un embargo de armas y, por supuesto, llevar a Netanyahu ante la Corte Penal Internacional para que se le juzgue como lo que es, un criminal de guerra. Insisto, no con nuestro silencio y no con nuestra complicidad. Necesitamos que la Unión Europea actúe.
I mean, how can you not like enjoy that, like everything about it? Probably if you're listening to this on audio and you don't understand Spanish, the general upshot, though, audio heads, is that she is calling for Netanyahu to be tried as a war criminal, sanctions against Netanyahu and the whole leadership, obviously an arms embargo and a ceasefire, which any right-thinking person anywhere should do. So what's my point of like ending the show with that? It's this: elect these people. I will not hear this whole first past the post argument and all of that. if seeing a genocide being like back rubbed by the likes of Starmer and whatnot because he's so politically compromised, which is what this is, let's be honest, doesn't make you not want to vote for that, then you are lost, my friend. It's like kind of, and I'm calling you my friends like Corbyn called Hamas my friends, like you're not really my friends. There's another thing. And one of the threads that's went through the show, the misrepresentation of seemingly benign stuff, which is peace stuff, an actual manifestation of peace in a demonstration or the type of things that are being chanted there, is the next level of demonization of us. So know thy enemy. And obviously, you know, the things that we can do to push back against this are not just solely linked to the ballot box. But if you want people like Ayon Balara in those positions of power calling for like things that can save lives, got to elect them. So until further notice, until there's anything better coming along, it's the Green Party, because they have what's known as brand recognition. People know who they are, and they're actually doing well without a lot of other people piling in. But I really think we should pile in. Otherwise, we're just going to keep going round in circles with the Suella Braverman, Starmer, duopoly, just going round and round and round. We can't keep doing this, clearly and quite obviously. Nobody can. Like, can you keep doing this for your head? Because not me. I don't want to do that. But, you know, because all that's going to happen is this. On the screen, bomb science 101. Apparently the only thing that's harder to understand than rocket science. At the top, you bomb people. People then get angry. Then people bomb you. Then you get angry. Then you bomb people. And round and round and round it goes. Just as humans, are we going to keep doing this? Vote for the people who are speaking for peace during times of war. Because at the end of the day, this is going to come to us. And I really don't think the majority of people who are calling for this are fit enough for war, for one. Anyway, we'll take some from you before we get away. Big Jez Hunt in the house. I see he's really getting into that lest we forget the horrors of war poppy thing. And nice one, you noticed too. What else we got? Just lots of love heart reacts and good people. Bigging up Ayon Balara. Do that, man. I'll leave you with this though, Shazbot. The age old saying, why do we kill people that kill people, to show that killing people is wrong? Really great way to end this. All the best, everybody. Have a belter. All love as ever, man. And you know how it is. If we keep sticking together, then we'll win. And that would be nice. See ya.